Yeah, I think it's really important to be together as a team. And even if you're not in the same country, as much as you can be, spend time. I travel quite a bit, spend time with the team in other places. It's important to know them as people, as mums, as wives, as friends, not just as work colleagues.
Hello, I'm here today with Claire Randall, and I could not be more excited. Claire has one of the best entrepreneurial stories, having just celebrated 30 years with Claire Randall Consulting. Claire also began her career as a producer at Saatchi & Saatchi, a brand that's near and dear to my heart. But what I love is as we think about leadership, we think about risk taking, we think about all those little decisions that make or break careers. Just having known Claire and the boldness to make the move, and then 30 years later to continue to be growing and celebrating, I just think there's so much we're going to learn today. So thank you for taking the time, Claire. I'm very excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So I would love to start, Claire, with moment of truth. So you're at Saatchi & Saatchi, you're killing it, things are going great, and you're like, what the hell? Let me go run off and do something new. What was the inflection point that drove that decision?
Well, funnily enough, it was the shortly after the Saatchi brothers left, and they were setting up M&C Saatchi. And so a lot of people were deciding at that point in time, do I go to M&C? Do I stay with Saatchi's, or do I do something different? And I had a client at one of the Mars, which is the brand that I did a lot of work for as a producer at Saatchi's, who approached me and said to me that he thought it would be great if I could come across and manage production for them. And so I was never really, it happened very organically. I thought well, it was a good point in time because there was a natural break as things were changing at the agency. And I thought it would be a really interesting experience. It would expose me to a lot of international business. It would make me more marketable as the head of production if I went onto the client side for like a year and then I'd come back. And so I didn't really give it a huge amount of thought, if I'm honest. And I thought it would be exciting. So I thought, okay, I'll do it. And his words to me were, and I've said this a number of times, well, you're very young and you're a girl, so people might not take you seriously. And I was like, okay, well, that is it. That is definitely the incentive I need to do this. And so I just thought, okay, let's do it. It was quite an unusual situation, and I went for it.
So what about fear? Did you not have that? What if this doesn't work out?
Not really, I have to be honest. Perhaps I didn't think it through enough, but I just thought it would be really interesting. I loved producing their work. I could see huge amounts of opportunity to improve process. You know, they were a typical big FMCG client that was, you know, one side of the business did not know what the other side of the business was doing. And there was no kind of holistic approach across all of the brands, all of the markets, all of the agencies. So I could see a real opportunity, and I was hungry to try it and make it work. And that was a 26-year relationship. So
Incredible. Incredible.
it wasn't the 1 year that I thought it was going to be.
When did you make the decision? So it was going to be a year. When did you make the
Yeah.
decision like this is a thing and Claire Randall Consulting could be a thing and this could be a big thing?
I just absolutely loved it. I mean, from day one, I just loved. I think producers, we are naturally there to, make things happen, to address challenges, to fix problems, and there was so much to do. There was no way it was ever going to be done in a year. So I think, and the relationship with them was exclusive for the first 7 years. So all I did was that, but that was 60 brands and I don't know, 40 markets, and it started off with just me and an assistant. So it soon became clear that that was never going to be a 1 year thing, and it was never going to be enough to have one person. I wasn't going to be able to divide myself into six pieces. So I just really rolled with it, to be honest. And it was just such fun. Really enjoyed it.
You know what I love about the story is it seems like the being open to opportunity. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Yes Man, but it's like it's basically Jim Carrey where he has to say yes to everything.
Oh, yes, I have
But it's
seen that.
yeah, it's like it's an openness to possibility,
Well, I guess
which
I was
I
young enough that I wasn't really too worried about the future. I just, as I said, I went with it because I wasn't stressed about it. And also I guess to be fair, I was married already and I had the support of my husband to go ahead and do it. And he was supportive of the idea. And so I didn't really see it as a risk at the time, I have to be honest, because I always thought, well, I can always go back into production
yeah,
if it
yeah.
doesn't. So I never really saw it as a big leap.
I
And I never really saw it as an entrepreneurial move at the time. Of course, now when I look back, it was, but I didn't see it like that. It felt more like a job, if I'm honest, because I was working for one client. It felt in the beginning, it felt like I was working for them rather than for me.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though. I feel so many people put big pressure on big decisions. Again, but it's just do it, see where it goes, and then let it grow organically. And again, what I love about your story is do good work for good people and kind of see where it leads. So who was your second client? How did you when and how did that
Uh,
transpire?
well, it was Adidas actually, because I was introduced via. Well, first of all, I should say that after working for 7 years this with Mars as one advertiser, I then felt it was time to roll it out. We'd learned so much. By that point, I had two or three other people working for me. I had put a lot of processes in place, lots of, guidelines, ways of working. I kind of had it in a place where it was working very well. And I thought, wow, I have learned so much. This would be amazing to take to other big global clients and do the same thing. And I was then, you know, coincidentally, although I don't really believe in coincidence, I do think things happen for a reason. I was introduced to someone who then introduced me to Adidas, and I started talking, and that was my first non-Mars client, and they're still with us today. So that's
Wow.
22 years.
And at that
And the
point, did you
same
have
year,
a
we also, yeah, we're sorry, the same year, we also won another big financial client, and they're still with us today. So it's been very much word of mouth and all about relationships, long-term relationships, which is very important to me.
And at that point, did you have a broader vision of global expansion, or was it still kind of like, let's see where this leads us?
Let me let you into a secret, Andrew. I've never really spent much time thinking about the future. I kind of live in the moment in terms of the business. And it's when I look back at it now, 30 years later, I think, wow, how did I do that? How did I do that without a business plan? Or how did I do that without a vision? But I just went with it. I just, I did what I needed to do on a daily basis. And I didn't really spend a huge amount of time thinking about what if. And that's really how it's been the whole time. And it's just grown and grown. There was never a plan for global expansion. There was never a plan to be this big or to have this many clients. It just happened very, very naturally.
I love that. I love that. I do think, again, I think it's do good work today, and tomorrow will take care of itself. What
And I've never
as you
stopped
look,
loving it. That's the other thing. I've
yeah,
never stopped loving it. I've never stopped enjoying it and meeting, having new challenges and learning new things. And so I always said when it stops getting interesting and it stops getting fun, then I'll think about the next thing. And it hasn't.
yeah. What if you think back like over your 30 years, is there advice you would give yourself at that point, or things that you would look back and say, if only I had known?
Not really. I mean, I think very much is go with your gut and don't overthink these things. Now as I'm older, I worry more. But I think in those days I didn't really worry. I just did what felt right. And I've been very fortunate that I have been able to work with some really good people, really great clients. And I really believe, I suppose the most important thing is I really believe in what we do. I really believe there's a role for really good strategic advisors in the realm of production. I think that's even more needed now than it ever was before, because when I started, it was much more straightforward than it is now. Let's face it, we made a TBC and a couple of cut downs and maybe a radio ad and a bit of print. Now it's so complicated, and so fragmented, and budgets are, if anything, probably relatively smaller, but we have to make much more. So I think people like us are really in demand in terms of helping clients navigate those complexities.
Yeah, I want to unpack the production comment, but one of the things you mentioned, I know it's from our lunch as well. You've had your team together for almost the entire 30 years. How do you keep the team together? How do you keep people motivated? I mean, it's an incredible track record and a testament to you and your leadership. But it's rare these days.
Yeah, I think that the role really suits experienced producers who have spent many years, shooting, traveling, doing all that stuff, and then they come here and they can really use all of that knowledge to mentor younger producers in agencies who don't maybe get the training that we had when we were in our youth at places like Saatchi's, where they really did train you, and you were a PA before you became a junior producer, and then you were a junior producer before you became a senior producer. It doesn't really work like that anymore. I think everybody's just thrown in at the deep end. And so a lot of the team here find it very gratifying, mentoring and using all those years of experience to advise and support. And then, of course, to educate and to support our clients who are, let's face it, not production savvy. They are marketers or procurement. And to them, it's a very complex, opaque world, production. So I think people just really enjoy problem solving. And once they come across to the consulting side, they can work a relatively normal day, which is not the case in most production jobs. I think that's really why we have a large percentage of working mothers here. And once they're doing this, it's kind of difficult for them to then go back into an agency or go back into a production company where their time is not really within their control. Whereas here, their time is much more in their control and they can work kind of a relatively normal 9:30 to 6. So they tend to stay.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. A large percentage of the team have been here more than 10 years, and some as much as 25 and 29 years. And I say that's because we have a very nice team spirit here, a good company culture and ethos, and everybody actually likes each other.
And how do you foster that? Like as a young leader, what advice would you have for folks for fostering a culture where people want to stay 30 years?
I believe in leading by example. So in the case of, for example, being in the office, I'm here 4 days a week. I gave everybody Fridays at home post-COVID. So I do the same hours, if not more, than everyone else. So I think it's important to show that you believe in what you're doing and you're happy to work that way. And I think people respect that. I'm not expecting anybody to do anything I'm not prepared to do myself. But also we try and make it fun. We try and, I think it's really important to be together as a team. And even if you're not in the same country, as much as you can be, spend time I travel quite a bit. I spend time with the team in other places. It's important to know them as people, as mums, as wives, as friends, not just as work colleagues. And I just think we have a really good working culture here, which I guess is why they stay. Plus, we work on really nice brands. We have very supportive and appreciative clients, and if you feel like you're valued, by both the company that you work for and the brands that you work with, then there's nothing better than a client who says, "Thank you so much. We couldn't have done it without you, or an agency is even better when an agency says, thanks guys for your support, it's really helped us get it over the line. Or, and I think we're very lucky. We've got really loyal clients too. Many of them have been with us a very long time. So it's relationships, very much about relationships.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it always has been a relationship business, and it does feel a little bit more transactional at times as things evolve. How do you if we want to talk about relationships, what's kind of your secret sauce for developing long-term relationships?
Oh, that's difficult. I don't know. I'm a people person. I really like, I like working with people all around the world. I find the work interesting and engaging. So I'm not like making a big effort to look like I enjoy what I do. I genuinely really enjoy what I do. So, and I think so does everybody else here. I think it's the nature of the work that we do. We have less pressure, I suppose, than a producer, an agency producer, or a production company producer who's got to get something over the line. Of course, we have deadlines and we have to meet expectations, but on the consulting side, it is a bit less pressured. So
Yeah,
it's enjoyable work because, as I said, you're using all your knowledge to benefit others, and that's a
yeah,
really nice place to be in. And I think
yeah,
we don't, our way of working and our culture is not one of kind of, we don't, our remuneration is based on fixed fee. So there's no kind of other incentive or motivation to that can drive the wrong behavior. Let's put it that way. So if you're working on a fixed fee, then you're just trying to get the work done for the fee. You're not worrying about the hours and the time. You're just doing what you need to do. I think our culture here is very much one of a very professional, very sort of detailed outputs. We don't worry about how much time we spend doing what we need to do. We deliver and we provide a very gold standard service. And I think people like that. They're not being told to cut corners. They're not being
yeah,
told they've got to get the job out the door. And of course, as a business, one might say, well, that seems strange, but you win some, you lose some. It's swings and roundabouts. Some jobs you might go, oh, that went on way too long, and others will be quicker. And overall, it works out in the wash. And actually, I don't want anyone to cut corners here. I want them to do what needs to be done for a client. You're only as good as the last job, right? So I want the
yes,
client to feel valued, and I want the client to feel that we've added value. That's what we're there to do. And also to guide and advise without worrying about whether you're saying what they want to hear. That's very
yeah,
important. As a
yeah,
consultant, you really need to tell them what you really think, whether it's what they think or not. It's important
yeah.
that you're
You know,
honest.
you know what I love about this is the consistent themes. Uh, be an expert, do what you love, keep it simple, keep it transparent, build a relationship, deliver long-term value. It's very simple, direct themes. But I think again, as you look at 30 years of success, I think about my own experience just working with founders and startups. People overthink, people
Mm.
overcomplexify, people are overly ambitious, chasing the next deal versus the one you have. Uh, I just feel like there's a lot of really great insight in the simplicity of focus and the know something really well, know what you love, know what you do, and flawless
Yeah,
execution.
and
It's a
I think
lot in
that's
there.
another point about not being a jack of all trades, but being a master of one. I feel very strongly that we have always stuck to what we do best, and it's always around production. And we haven't tried to go into, you know, running agency pitches or
Yeah.
whatever else it might be. And I think it is, we are the experts in production, and that is what we will stick to. And we can walk into any meeting and we can advise any brand on any challenge because between the team, we have seen everything. But yet we also continue to learn every day new things, obviously new technologies, innovations, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think you stick to what you know best, and you're not greedy about grabbing this type of work as well and this type of work. I think that we should know where we sit, where we fit into the process, and value ourselves as well. And I think that's I think loving what you do is very important. And that's what I tell my kids. You should love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, then change.
And I know
Not
from
always
your
easy to
conversations,
have that though.
they do. So they're
Yeah, but it's
listening to
not
your
always,
advice.
yeah, but it's not always easy to have that. I appreciate that. I'm very, very lucky that I still, after 30 years, enjoy it.
Yeah. Maybe too, we could unpack a little. You had mentioned earlier just about the changes in production, and you were talking about technology. What do you see, what are the biggest changes right now, and what are the things people really need to be aware of and be paying attention to?
Well, I mean, of course, we're all going to mention AI because
Yeah.
you wouldn't be having a conversation about AI. And I think from our point of view, we are doing a lot of research. We are talking to a lot of people to make sure that we're in a position to advise our clients, that we are, they are, a lot of them, very risk averse. So we need to know where we fit in terms of giving that advice and support, because obviously it crosses over between legal and procurement and marketing and operations. Everybody wants to know how AI is going to change things. So we have at least two of the team who are very focused on AI and have been actually for quite a while, to give the clients the support that they need. For most of the brands that we work with, they're big household names. So there's still, a lot of them are still doing TV, but they're doing obviously a lot of other, they're in a lot of other places, a lot of other channels, including things like experiential activations and events. So we have to just keep up with the pace. We have to make sure that we know what the latest technologies are that out there, like virtual production, which is not even, that's now an old thing, but to make sure that we're up to speed in what evolutions have happened in the world of technology. We have technical consultants that we bring in. Again, know your limitations, know what you know, but what you don't know. And just make sure that we are able to provide our clients, if we don't have the expertise ourselves in-house, then with the resources and the partners that can support them. And because we have an ethos of we don't do introductory fees or anything like that. We stay completely objective. I believe very strongly that we need to be completely objective. Then we can recommend a partner or a supplier or whatever for our clients without feeling in any way compromised. This is the right person for this project. We can't do it ourselves, but here's somebody who can, and just let it go. I think for most of the advertisers out there, they're really struggling with just the sheer volume of content that they have to produce, in the time they have to produce it, for the amount of channels they have to produce it for. And that is their biggest challenge. So how we make the budget stretch further, how we optimize the amount of assets that they're shooting, how we help them reuse those assets and get a good return on investment. All of those things are areas that we're very focused on, not just the short-term goals, but also the longer-term goals. And they might be things like sustainability or as I said, or ROI in terms of asset reuse from a cost perspective, but also from a sustainability perspective. So all of that, we kind of dip into lots of different areas of the marketing spend.
I'm sure. How do you keep current as a leader? How do you keep your finger on the pulse?
I surround myself with very clever people. But we do. We bring people into the office to present, to keep us up to speed. We engage consultants for us as well, to make sure that we understand how things work. We bring them in to present. We do regular kind of breakfast meetings. I read a lot. I go to, networking events. I go to conferences, because we have to be current. We absolutely have to be current. But of course, the sheer volume of production that we're seeing through the team around the world, we're learning every day. We're able to teach each other and exchange ideas amongst the team so that everybody knows how to produce, most cost effectively and efficiently across the different channels. But it's hard, that it's moving at such a pace, and AI is moving at such a pace.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's about engaging the experts and making sure that we know we can tap into the right resources and the right people to help us get better at what we do.
Yeah, I too am a big fan of surrounding yourself with people smarter than you, and
Yeah,
then just
yeah.
asking questions and listening as much as possible. So,
Yes, exactly. Well, because we
but
don't want to be
maybe
stale.
just no, and it's moving so fast. It's hard. It's a time where I think you have to proactively work not to be stale. So,
Correct.
hey,
Yeah.
just to close this out, what advice would you have for someone starting out today? Someone who's interested in production, looking to get into the field. What advice would you have for a young person in this?
Oh, I think oh, that's a difficult one. It depends which part of production, of course, that they're interested in. I mean, any young person, I think doing work experience or apprenticeships or anything they can get their hands on to learn is very important. But obviously, consultants by nature are going to be older because we have to have had the years of experience
Yes.
to be able to advise and support clients. If you're going to walk into an agency or production company and know what you're talking about, you have to have been there and done that on the ground for many years before you can do that. But I think it's tough for this generation in their 20s now to even get jobs. Let's face it, it's not. They can have years of education and go to college and do all the
Yeah, it's
things,
part
the
of why I'm
right
asking.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really hard. So personally, I started working at Saatchi's for nothing. I went and answered the phone for a month, and then I got offered a job. So I do believe in just get your foot in the door, and even if it's unpaid, that's fine. You could do it for a month or two probably and make it work. But that's what I did. I was the first person in and the last person to leave, and then they gave me a job. I drove them crazy. So I think that's what you need to do, to be really persistent. Don't take it personally. A lot of kids are complaining they're not getting through even to interview phases because they're being, their CVs are being weeded out um, algorithmically, which seems very unfair, but that's just the way it is now. So I think just don't give up, be persistent, just keep going, and try and go and meet with as many people as you can for a cup of coffee or just anything. Use every contact. I don't think there's anything wrong with leveraging contacts. I always try and see my friends' kids, or suggest that they go and see somebody else, because something will come along. And don't lose heart. I think believe in yourself. And, I guess I was always quite confident. And that probably comes from being the youngest of three kids. My parents instilled a lot of confidence in me, but I had a very strong work ethic, and I just believed that something, well, I didn't even look for very long. I was lucky, but then again, I made myself visible, and I was always very ambitious. So
Claire, you know what my big takeaway from this entire conversation is, like, just get out there and do it.
yeah,
Every single story is, I believed, I took the job, I didn't worry about the money, I was passionate, first one in, last one out. I worked harder, I became an expert, and I maintained the relationships. It's like the entire 30 years of now I own my own company, it's global, it's thriving, it's successful, is keep it simple, keep it focused, be the expert and work hard. It's a
work hard.
fantastic
No, but work
conversation, Claire. I
hard.
really,
Work hard is really important, because I do work very hard. And there's always compromises, I think, as well. Especially, we haven't really talked about the fact that I'm also a mom and a wife, and I'm all of those things. And some would say you can't do any of those things perfectly. If you're trying to do all of them, and there will be compromises. And I said to a lot of young women, yes, nothing is perfect. You can't do everything perfectly. But if you just are prepared to put in the graft, don't try and cut corners. It will come good.
Yes, I love that. Claire, thank you so much. I really, really love the conversation. I appreciate you taking the time, and it's just a, a lot of valuable advice, I think, for young entrepreneurs, just in terms of simplicity and work hard. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Lovely to talk to you.
Likewise.